This is my 1946 Husqvarna model 24. Three-speed transmission, first, second, third. 118cc two-stroke with a kickstarter forward. Not the original seat, but the original one is broken. Not the original but the original is also broken. Front brake that doesn't really do anything. Light switch. High and low beam. Clutch. The rear brake on the left side. Tail light. And a carburetor with this choke and thing to flood in the carburetor. Here is some of the specifications on the bike. Top speed of 75. I only got mine to go 65, so it's not really true, and it's quite scary at those speeds with the brakes are really bad. And this is how the engine looks inside with this weird size piston. This is how the later models look like. So it's not quite a speedy thing, but if you look back how it looked like in 1946 in Sweden, the roads weren't much better than the one down there, probably worse than this. So top speed of 65 was quite enough, and 3.5 horsepower got you moving pretty fast for those times. Neat little bike, fun to drive, even though I don't drive it that often, and it's not registered or inspected, because why not? Otherwise you do it when I only use it on the back roads. I have the papers on it, and it's quite good in case I wanna register one time. Bought a bike for maybe 2 years ago for like $800, so they quite cheap. Can find them really cheap here in Sweden, since they were made here, and fairly common bike, even though you don't see them that way often on the roads anymore, but they are out there. Yeah, and it's what you call a lightweight class motorcycle. It's under 120cc. This one is 118cc, so that means you can be legally drive this when you're 16 if you take the driver's license. and back in the day the lightweight class was based on the weight on the bike. That's why this bike weighs 75 kilos, so that meant you could drive it as a 16-year-old. But in the 70s they redid this thing to be cubic cc's instead of the weight, which is quite good, because in order to get the weight down they had to compromise and do all the stuff on the bike much weaker and lighter, which is why this thing has like bicycle brakes, which doesn't really work above 40 kilometers per hour and so on. So back in the day, up until the 70s, you could have like a let's say 300cc engine in a bike that weighed 75 kilos and had no brakes, and it was legal. But after, like there in the 70s sometime, it was the cubic cc's instead, so therefore you could build a lot heavier bikes with better brakes and so on. So yeah, pretty fun old bike. I guess we can see if it will run. It's giving me some trouble to start sometimes, especially hot. I changed the condenser in it, but yeah, I don't know, it doesn't like to start when it's hot anyway. Sometimes it will. It's just a grumpy old thing. Won't be any driving videos because I don't have any good way to record it while I'm driving, so you have to live with that. And I got a flat tire too, which it only holds air for a couple of minutes. It's old Trelleborg original tire on it, so like 7-year-old tire and tube, so I guess it's time to replace. Actually, it's pretty bad. The front will replace something like this, and I think it really suits the bike with some more like gravel tires, or so makes it look a little bit cooler than these road tires. But anyway, turn the fuel on. Yeah, let's try to choke. See if it will flood the carburetor a little bit. Bloop. See if I can do this with one hand. Carburetor doesn't have an idle screw or an air mixture screw, so you can't adjust this shitty carburetor. It runs with it. It starts. This time it started really easy. Surprised. But yeah, like 7-year-old carburetor. There are plenty better carburetors out there, and one day I may replace this to a more modern, maybe Mikuni or Delort or something. You can just unbolt the intake there and put a modern carburetor on, and then you get some more fine tuning and get an idle on it, and so replace this pipe and this fuel tap. This is leaking gas right on the cylinder, and yeah, it's worn out, all the things. Ignition system, it works, but it's also like 7 years old with points and so on, and well, I know how to adjust the points, but the points are getting worn, and actually sometimes it can be hard to find points for these ones, but you can find them. But new old stock or some Bosch or something that will fit in this Swedish ignition system. Stefa is the name of the ignition system, or so. But it's a guy on Facebook there. You send him over to him, and they will put a modern ignition system in it with out points and so on. But it costs some money, and I don't really feel like doing that right now, since it's working. I don't drive it. I actually don't have a driver's license for a motorcycle, but I drive it anyway. No one will ever know. Well, all of you will know. But yeah. Otherwise, pretty complete bike, except for it's supposed to be a round toolbox here. That's the only thing missing from this bike, as far as I can tell. They didn't have anything more as we really no speedometer or anything. Bare bone bike for the workers, the working class people who had this as their daily drivers, or so your mechanics, forest workers, industrial workers, or so. So they were common back in the day. Anyway, that's it for this video.